Children, you must be remembering that Dhanananda, the tyrant king, had decided to open a Dan Kendra. Now that was very odd because he was used to extorting things from the people. But now suddenly he turned very benevolent, and that was rather suspicious. The people could not figure out why that happened. However, when Chanakya went to Pataliputra to find out the truth behind the Dan Kendra, someone commented that if there was a good manager, probably it would work out. Chanakya applied for the post, but the king did not take kindly. He overlooked the brilliance of Chanakya and called him an ugly Brahmin and had him thrown out of the court. And in the process, his top knot, as you can see, became loose. That was a great insult. Chanakya swore that he would actually crush the Nanda dynasty and only then he would dye his hair. He tried to find a king and he did find a suitable candidate in Chandragupta Maurya. He also made an army out of the rebels. But something was not wrong. Something was not right. He could not actually avenge get his revenge, and therefore he kept on facing defeat. Then one day his spy had come and told him that a mother who was feeding her son said that the son was making the same mistake as Chanakya was doing. And what was that mistake? He was actually trying to eat his chapati by breaking it from the middle, whereas he should have broken it from the outer periphery. Chanakya realized his mistake. He was trying to actually attack the capital, but that was not the correct move. He should have actually conquered the bordering areas, the peripheral areas, and then slowly moved towards the center. Hence, he ordered his troops to move from the border towards the center of the kingdom. Even then, the things were not easy for him because the Nandas had a very strong army, and the army was led by a brilliant general, Kathayana. He was so fierce that people compared him to a demon and called him Amatsya Rakshas. So Chanakya realized that he should get rid of this general because the general was actually inspiring the army. He was giving them all the intelligence that was needed. But that would be murder, and murder is sin. But then Chanakya justified that if the murder is for greater good, if the murder actually benefited the people of the kingdom, then probably the murder also would be justified. And how could he do that? The general must be very well protected, and if he was, leading an army, that means he must have been very intelligent himself. So he needed someone to operate from within. Chanakya therefore instructed his best student Indu Sarma to do something about it. He instructed Indu Sarma to win the confidence of Kathayana, and once he would win the confidence of Amatsya Rakshas or Kathayana, then probably he would get all the inner details, all the plans that the Nandas were making against Chanakya in order to win the war. Now, Indu Sarma was a very, very intelligent person. He was instructed to go and win the confidence of Kathayana. How would he do that? He could not just go and approach the general and say that, all right, let's be friends and you can tell me all about your plans. So, what did Indu Sarma do? He disguised himself as a Jain monk and also an astrologer. He kept a name for himself and his name was Jeevsidhi. He started moving around the place, the kingdom, the capital, and he started popularizing the belief that he did not like Chanakya. The Nanda kings were also in favor of people who did not like Chanakya. So what happened? He tried to get it across to the Nanda kings that he did not like Chanakya and he would also like to help the Nandas to defeat Chanakya. But then again, the Nandas were no fools. They would not allow anyone to come and just tell them that, all right, I am in your side. So he was asked to come to the court one day. And then he was asked to prove himself as a good astrologer. Indusarma was already prepared. He had spoken to Chandragupta and he had learnt of certain secrets about the royal family about which no one was aware. So when he was facing the Nanda kings and he told about these intimate details, the Nandas were convinced of his astrological powers or prowess. So by reading the king's past very accurately, he won the confidence of the king. And the king was so impressed with him that he actually made him the official court astrologer. Now, sometimes we tend to believe a lot in these astrologers. And so, since it was a real war that was being waged against Chanakya, Kathayana also started to consult him. And by consulting, obviously he shared his plans with Indusarma without knowing actually that he was sent by Chanakya. According to Amatsya Rakshas, he was just sharing his plans with the astrologer, taking his advice and then proceeding to make his plan foolproof that he would actually be able to defeat Chanakya. And knowing all these military secrets, Indusarma passed it on to Chanakya. After that, it was just a matter of time. Victory became imminent. It had to be. Chanakya knew all the moves that they were about to make, the Nandas, and he was prepared for them. He slowly and steadily kept on winning. Dhanananda's brothers were killed, and finally when Dhanananda realized that there was no way by which he could defeat Chanakya, he was a proud king. So instead of being killed by Chanakya and his men, what he preferred was death in his own hands, and he drove a sword through his heart. Soon the Nanda dynasty ceased to exist. Chanakya's candidate Chandragupta Maurya was coronated the new king of Magad. Previously, we had seen that at Ushara, he was a boy with regal air and an instinctive sense of justice, and he dealt very fairly with the other boys. So actually, he proved to be a very good king. And obviously, he was a young boy, so Chanakya was his advisor. So under the able guidance of Chanakya, the Mauryan Empire set by Chandragupta Maurya soon flourished and grew into India's greatest and most powerful empire. Now this is what Chanakya had wanted. So once his task had been accomplished, Chanakya retired to the village to lead a peaceful life. And he dedicated himself to teaching and writing. What did he write? Well, he wrote some of the best books on political science, administration and economics. Chanakya Niti, Niti Shastra and Arth Shastra. And these books are so well written that even to this date, they are used in major universities of the world as reference books. So that brings us to the end of the chapter, children. Please study it well and attempt the assignment.